Hey Misfits, time for another 1-minute review, and today we're taking a look at the White Castle Matcha edition. Now this is the expansion for actually probably one of my favorite games next to Thunder Road. We won't go into that though, I have a weird unnatural love for that game. But devir makes a perfect game that encapsulates Japan society, and I love Japanese society. For anybody that watched Shogun, if you haven't seen it, it's amazing. I think it won everything this year. Didn't it like win all of the...
Won a billion of the awards.
Yeah, it was such a great, which I'm very familiar with that story because back in the day they actually did a Shogun series with Richard Chamberlain.
Richard Chamberlain.
God, we're feeling old now. Is he even alive anymore? I don't think he's alive anymore. Anyway, so the awesome series encapsulates all about Japanese society and how interesting and how advanced they were for their day and how much political and social ties factor in everything. I can go into that all day though. I love that kind of stuff. But back to devir, White Castle Matcha is an expansion on my much loved White Castle game, which again was one of my favorites from, is it last year now?
Yeah, I think so.
Holy crap, I'm getting old. Anyway, White Castle from last year. I love the game. This is not a game that, mind you, everybody's going to be everybody's cup of tea, see what I did there? But if you're like me and you love a very, 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 very tight-knit Euro game where every little decision you make can make the difference between winning and losing, this is a game for you. Much like Japanese society, make one wrong mistake, you got to commit seppuku, right? Or you got to, you got to lop somebody's head off. So
is there head lopping in this game?
No, sadly, there's no seppuku or head lobbing in this game. But you know what? That could be the next expansion. It'd be White Castle head lobbing or seppuku. White Castle seppuku. You heard it from me. You heard it from me, devir, right? White Castle seppuku. Just think about it.
You only get to play that once.
You only get to play it once, though. Yeah. So, this adds more to a game that was already, I think, kind of perfect, but honestly, it made it even better, like in little ways, And this is one of those games that I will definitely have to play more and more of to see how it affected all the little nuts and bolts, because this is a very, 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 very tight-knit game. But this adds another path, and you see how it expands onto the original board. It adds your geishas, which played a very important role in ancient Japan. Geishas were not just like, they weren't like call girls or anything. They played a very pivotal role in influencing members of Japanese society, and they had their own social political balance in Japanese society. And especially, the higher end geishas, the more popular ones. And again, watch Shogun, you'll see what I'm talking about. But for this game, they provide an entirely another path, a kind of an alternate path for your courtiers here that go and present before the emperor. So those familiar with White Castle, you remember you choose your dice and you place it on certain areas, and you get whatever benefits that are there. And it becomes this tug of war here where other people can put other dice on top, but you have to have a matching number. Otherwise, whatever difference you have, you're going to end up paying or perhaps gaining money, which is extremely important in this game. Well, this adds another path, and it provides different dice that you use for different things, and you're going to use these for geisha actions. You have your tea fields over here, and you have a new board, and you have a new resource. This is chasen. This is the stuff that is used basically to make tea, like matcha, and it's called chasen. And what you use that to spend to move your geishas along a path. And they go from the koi pond all the way to the tea house here. And they provide additional bonuses as you go along. And much like these, just another opportunity to gain much needed points in the game that obviously points are everything. So you spend these green dice, which kind of expands your options, I will say. I won't say it doesn't make it any less tighter, but it does at least broaden a little about what options you have available. It's a whole nother bridge of dice available to you to do separate things. It gives you maybe a little bit of breathing room, if I could say that right. But at the same time, you can't ignore it. Like you have these other options available to you that if you don't get involved with them, you'll lose out on a lot of points. They're just as viable as any other track. So you put your dice here, you gain the benefits, you move your geisha along the track to eventually end at the tea house over here. their path, I think it seems shorter, but it really isn't. It's as long as anybody else's, because again, you have to spend your resources to do things, or your seals to do things, to get them along this track. And once you get there, you get bonuses correlated depending on where they end up in the tea house. So you're probably wondering, you're like, okay, is this something I need for this kind of game? For those that play it or love it, yeah, I think you do. This game, this expansion adds something that I wouldn't have thought I was missing from the game. Like I said, I considered the game kind of a perfect Euro in a box almost. And devir can claim that title. You can slap it on your Anthony's seal of approval for perfect Euro in a box. But honestly, this adds something I didn't think was missing from the game. And not that you necessarily, you're not going to notice it until you actually get it. And then you're going to be like, oh yeah, this adds just that extra touch that I think was needed to the game. It expands it just enough to give a little bit more variety in things that you can do. And while it necessarily loosens up a little bit of the tightness when you're fighting over the 3 bridges, it isn't really loosen it up that much. Absolutely perfect expansion. And one important thing to me too is theming. And I feel like afterwards, and I think I might have mentioned, I have to rewind the video maybe. I think I mentioned maybe, I have to go back, like the brain fog going back or whatever, about like, I think I mentioned geishas, adding geishas or whatever. Maybe, I'll have to check. devir, did you steal the geisha idea from me? Maybe they took it from me, I'm wondering. Maybe I should get royalties on that. But this was an important integral piece of the theming I think that was absolutely missing from White Castle to encompass all that is the politics about Japanese society. Again, I could talk about that all day, but from a gameplay standpoint, absolutely beautiful expansion, absolutely beautiful add-on. It adds just enough of that touch, a little bit of extra to the game that you didn't know was missing. Absolutely perfect expansion, guys. I would, if you are a fan of White Castle, do not pass this up. Much like Red Cathedral, which if for those that played Red Cathedral, you need the expansion to that. I feel you need the expansion to this. I would not play this without the expansion after having gotten it. I'll just say that much. This to me is the complete White Castle, guys. But for those unfamiliar, if you haven't played White Castle, you're missing out. If you love a tight-knit Euro game, get it. It's a great game. If you have White Castle already, buy this. This is a perfect expansion for already a perfect game. 5 out of 5, right? Isn't that our scoring system still? 5 out of 5.
Impressive.
It is. I'm pretty sure I gave White Castle 5 out of 5 too, if I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't be shocked.
I wouldn't, yeah. Absolutely one of my favorite Euro games. And the theming, of course, does add a little bit for me. But absolutely perfect encapsulation of Euro, guys. Don't take my word for it though. Go out and play it, and you'll see. You're not gonna. You can yell at me if you think there's anything that you didn't need from this game, but trust me, when you get it, you'll be very, very happy, guys. Until then, of course, pay attention. I think we went over a minute. I'm pretty sure I rambled on about Japanese society a lot.
You go over a minute on these reviews? That's unheard
No,
of.
I know it's unheard of. Yeah, go ahead and throw in like a clip from Shogun or something. I don't know. Can we even do that? They're gonna copy.
No, they're gonna copyright.
Oh crap! Dang it all. Anyway, until then, guys, remember always have your second face, your inner face in Japanese society, or it's not going to end well. You don't know what I'm talking about. Never mind. Until then, guys, of course, as always, game on.